Jim Sear, I'm with Central Maine Healthcare spokesperson. John Alexander, some of you have asked about the title. It's John, John Alexander, MD, Chief of Central Maine Healthcare. And that's the umbrella organization of which CMMC, the local hospital, is a part of, is going to be speaking to you today about what he can. He's not going to be able to answer all of your questions, but with that, Dr. Alexander.
All right, thanks, Jim. So again, my name is John Alexander. I'm the Chief Medical Officer and Chief Operating Officer for Central Maine Healthcare. Central Maine Medical Center is our flagship hospital at Central Maine Healthcare. First, I want to extend our thoughts and prayers to the families who have been impacted by this tragedy. I also wanted to say it has been a very challenging 16 hours, as I'm sure you heard from the law enforcement officials who've been very supportive over the past half day. We had some heroic efforts by our team members last night, continuing in today. They provided expert and compassionate care. One of the challenges with identifying patients early on was the speed with which our teams needed to act. We had a first patient arrive at 7:24 p.m., and over the next 45 minutes, we received a total of 14 patients. 8 of those patients were admitted to our hospital. 3 of those patients are deceased. 2 were discharged home, and 1 was transferred to Maine Medical Center. We also had 1 patient that was taken to St. Mary's Hospital. For the 8 patients who are currently admitted, 5 of those are in stable condition, 3 are in critical condition. We're not going to comment at this time on the gender or the ages of those patients, nor are we going to comment on the nature of those injuries. I'd like to thank also all of the hospitals, healthcare providers, EMS agencies, and air service. From Augusta to Portland, we had incredible support throughout the night and into today. We've had an outpouring of support and offers of assistance, and again, very much appreciate all of those efforts. Once again, I'd want to extend our thoughts and prayers to the families, to their loved ones, and to the victims who've been impacted by this tragedy. Thank you very much for your respect for our caregivers and for those families.
Dr. Alexander, can you just describe the range of injuries that your crews treated last night?
Again, we're not going to comment on the nature of the injuries at this time.
Can you say if any of the victims were children under the age of 18?
Again, not going to comment on the ages or the gender of any of the patients at this time.
Can you tell us what kind of preparation your training staff has for these sorts of events?
Sure. Our team, we're a level 3 trauma center. That means that we have in-house at all times trained trauma surgeons, trained anesthesiologists, and an expert emergency department staff. As I mentioned, when the first patient arrived at 7:24, we had approximately 25 team members, physicians, nurses, respiratory therapists who were already available to take care of that patient. By the time the 14th patient came in, approximately 45 minutes later, that number had ballooned to about 50 or 60 care providers. They've gone through extensive training to be prepared for those injuries, and we're very thankful that they were there and they're prepared to help take care of the patients that we received.
Doctor, did all the patients come via ambulance, or were there any who came via private vehicle or walked in?
All of the patients were brought in either by ambulance or by first responders.
Doctor, I know hospitals train all the time for mass casualty.
Hospitals.
How did that training prepare you, and did it match the reality?
Again, I think our team did an amazing job. They provided a high level of expertise. We're very thankful that they were able to get as many patients into our trauma bays and into our operating rooms as we were able to. They train regularly, and again, I think it showed.
Who coordinated whether the patient went to you, went to St. Mary's, or ended up, as I think at least one did get transferred to Florida?
As I mentioned, and as you can tell by the time frame, that situation unfolded very, very quickly. So I would suggest that they came to us based on the experience of the ambulance drivers and the proximity to our facility.
You weren't doing the triage role yourself, for example?
We received the patients as they came to us.
What was the number of people on duty at the hospital last night? How did that correspond to normal staffing levels?
We had our normal staffing available last night, and as I mentioned when I referenced the ballooning, we had team members, we had approximately 100 team members who were off duty come into the hospital to help ensure that we were able to care for not only the patients that we received from these horrible scene, but also take care of the patients that we had there.
Doctor, from a law enforcement perspective, we're seeing sheriff's deputies and police officers from other jurisdictions come here to help out. Is it similar when it comes to healthcare? Are you seeing doctors and nurses from other towns and areas come lend a hand? And if so, is that something that is helpful and that you'd like to see happen?
Certainly in the short term, there is an outpouring of assistance that's being offered, and you don't know what resources you need or don't need, so it is helpful. We were able to organize those resources and use them effectively. As an example, we had ambulance services from other counties coming on site. At one point, we had approximately 10 ambulance crews standing by outside of our trauma center to ensure that if we had patients who needed to be transferred, they could be transferred. We received nurses and physicians from some of our area hospitals. We had helicopter support, not only from our own Life Flight of Maine, but also from Boston Med Flight and from Dartmouth. So the long answer to that, or the short answer is yes.
And then, Doctor, what about the lockdown? Obviously, there was a large police presence outside of the hospital this morning. How long do you anticipate that to be in effect, and why exactly do you need armed personnel outside of the hospital at this time?
So we're taking the lead from law enforcement, and they're the ones who are telling us what we need to do and how we need to do it. As long as the city is in, what's the term that they use? Shelter in place. As long as we're in a shelter in place, then we will continue to remain in our current status.
This kind of event happens a lot in America. A lot of hospitals like yours have to deal with situations like this. Do you have a professional opinion about the fact that this is part of what the American medical community regularly has to respond to?
It's a good question. I don't know that I have a professional opinion about having to respond to this. I would just say that it's a tragedy, and I think we should do our best to respect the families, those people who have been impacted, the caregivers. I'll just add one thing, just talking about that. We do have an incredible amount of support for people who are going through a difficult time right now, mental health issues, any kind of stress or anxiety from not only the events that have happened, but having to witness some of it. And so we're continuing to provide those resources, and much to the question asked earlier about other areas and other neighboring towns or communities, we've received a lot of support from neighboring towns, communities, and agencies from around the state in order to offer support not only to the patients and families that we have, but also to our team members.
Last question.
Is there a call to action at all for blood drive? I know people want to know if they can help out.
For right now, we and I believe the other trauma centers in the state are very adequately supplied with blood and other supplies. I think the one thing that I would ask for people who are at home right now is if you are in an area where you're being asked to shelter in place, please do so and stay safe.
Can we go back to one point from earlier? Can you, the amount of time that elapsed from when you first got notified, the first patient ride, till the last one, and obviously some admitted, some not?
Sure, yeah, that time frame was approximately 45 minutes, and we received 14 patients, critically ill patients at that time, over 45 minutes. So that happened very quickly, and our teams responded exceptionally well.
Thank you all. We'll keep you posted. State Police will have information as soon as they can. I appreciate your patience.